Welcome to HFY Galaxy Tales. Like this video and subscribe the channel for more HFY stories. The human was smiling again. Captain Vreldar of the Galactic Enforcement Fleet had seen many peculiar things during his 30 cycles of service, but nothing quite compared to the expressions humans wore on their soft, fleshy faces. This one, the prisoner currently secured in cell block 7, seemed particularly fond of that unsettling upward curve of her mouth. Prisoner KX-9, Vreldar announced through the energy barrier, his mandibles clicking with official authority. You will cease that facial distortion immediately. The human, who had introduced herself as Commander Mara Quinn before her ship was destroyed, tilted her head. The smile widened. You mean this? She asked, pointing at her own face. This is just me being friendly, Captain. Where I come from, we smile when we're happy. Or amused. Sometimes both. Vreldar's secondary eyes narrowed. You are imprisoned aboard my vessel. Your ship is debris. Your crew is scattered across 3 sectors. What could possibly amuse you? Oh, lots of things, Mara said, leaning back against the containment wall. For instance, the way your left antenna twitches when you're confused. It's adorable, really. The antenna in question twitched violently. Vreldar made a mental note to review human psychological warfare tactics. Again. Perhaps you do not understand the severity of your situation, he continued, activating his command tablet. You entered Krillian sovereign space without authorization. You engaged in combat operations against a registered trade convoy. You destroyed property valued at over 6 million credits. The Council demands answers, human. The Council can demand all they want, Mara replied, examining her fingernails with what appeared to be complete disinterest. Doesn't change the fact that your registered trade convoy was trafficking Balerian younglings in the cargo hold. Did you check the manifests before you arrested me, Captain? Or did you just see a human ship and assume we were the bad guys? Vreldar's vocal sac inflated with indignation. The Krillian Trade Federation has operated within legal parameters for over 200 cycles. Your accusations are baseless and... Deck 4, Container 17, Mara interrupted, still studying her nails. Behind the dilithium crates. You'll find about 40 terrified kids who haven't seen their parents in weeks. But sure, keep telling yourself the paperwork is what matters here. The captain's tablet beeped. His second officer, Lieutenant Kix, appeared on the screen, all 4 of her eyes wide with something that looked suspiciously like panic. Sir, we have a situation. I am currently interrogating the prisoner, Lieutenant. Unless the ship is exploding. We found the Balerian younglings, sir. Deck 4. Container 17. Exactly where the human said they would be. Vreldar felt his skin plates shift colors, an involuntary response his species exhibited during moments of extreme stress. He looked at Mara, who was now smiling so widely he could see most of her teeth. Humans had so many teeth. It was deeply disturbing. How did you know? He demanded. Because I do my homework, Captain. Unlike some people, apparently. She stood up, approaching the energy barrier with her hands clasped behind her back. See, about 3 months ago, several Balerian families reported their children missing from the outer colonies. No ransom demands. No bodies. Just gone. The local authorities brushed it off as runaways, but I know Balerians. Family units are sacred to them. Kids don't just leave. Vreldar's mandibles worked silently. He was beginning to suspect he had made what humans called a mistake. So I started digging, Mara continued, pacing now, her voice taking on a lecturing quality. Followed the money. Found some interesting connections between Krillian shipping routes and the disappearances. Then I traced a convoy, waited for them to load up, and confirmed my suspicions. I tried contacting the Galactic Enforcement Fleet, by the way. Filed 3 formal reports. Want to guess how many responses I got? The fleet processes thousands of reports daily. We cannot. 0, Mara said flatly. 0 responses. So I did what humans do best. I handled it myself. Lieutenant Kix's voice crackled through the comm again. Captain, the Krillian convoy commander is demanding to speak with you. He seems very agitated about the cargo inspection. I imagine he would be, Vreldar muttered, his earlier certainty crumbling like a sand sculpture in a solar storm. He closed the comm link and fixed all 4 eyes on his prisoner. Even if your intentions were noble, Commander Quinn, you violated interstellar law. You destroyed vessels. You could have killed crew members. Could have, Mara agreed, nodding. But I didn't. Targeted the engines only. Disabled their weapon systems first. Made sure everyone had time to evacuate before the ships went critical. I'm not a monster, Captain. I'm just someone who cares about kids being sold like cargo. The law is clear on vigilante action. Oh, please, Mara laughed, and the sound echoed strangely in the confined space. You want to talk about law? Let's talk about the Galactic Protection Charter, Section 4, Subsection 9. Any citizen may take necessary action to prevent harm to sentient beings when proper authorities are unavailable or unresponsive. I'd say 3 ignored reports counts as unresponsive, wouldn't you? Vreldar's skin plates shifted through several colors he didn't even know he could produce. This human was infuriating. And correct. She was infuriatingly correct. You seem well versed in galactic law for someone who operates outside it, he observed. I was a lawyer before I was a pilot, Mara said, that damnable smile returning. Passed the galactic bar exam 5 years ago. Top 3% of my class. Humanity might be new to the interstellar community, Captain, but we're fast learners. And we really, really hate bullies. The comm chimed again. This time it was the ship's medical officer, Dr. Venzix. Captain, the Balerian younglings are in poor condition but stable. They're asking for the human. They say she rescued them. Vreldar felt what he could only describe as a headache forming behind his primary eyes. In 30 cycles of service, he had never experienced anything quite like this. Tell them the human is in custody, he said wearily. Captain, with respect, they're traumatized children. If seeing their rescuer helps them. The human is a prisoner. Actually, Mara interjected cheerfully, I think you'll find that my legal status is currently in question. You arrested me for attacking a trade convoy, but that convoy was engaged in illegal trafficking. Self-defense and defense of others are both viable legal arguments. Want to bet your career on this going to trial? Vreldar made a sound his translator refused to interpret. You are enjoying this. I really am, Mara confirmed. It's not every day you get to watch a by-the-book enforcer realize he's been enforcing the wrong book. I could simply keep you in containment indefinitely while the council deliberates. You could, she agreed. But those kids need medical treatment. Probably trauma counseling too. And every hour you delay because you're too proud to admit you made a mistake is another hour they suffer. Is that really the officer you want to be, Captain? The words hit harder than any weapon. Vreldar had joined the fleet to protect innocence, to maintain order, to ensure justice prevailed across the stars. When had he become so focused on procedures and protocols that he forgot the actual purpose behind them? If I release you, he said slowly, what guarantee do I have that you will not simply flee? You have my word. The word of a criminal. The word of a human, Mara corrected, and for the first time, her expression turned serious. Captain, I know you don't know much about my species. We're the new kids in the galactic neighborhood. But let me tell you something about humans. When we give our word, especially about protecting children, we keep it. It's just how we're wired. Vreldar studied her through the barrier. Despite everything, despite the chaos she had caused, there was something in her eyes. Not just determination, but genuine care. She wasn't doing this for glory or profit. She was doing it because she believed it was right. Your weapon, he said finally. You will surrender it. Already did. Your security team took it when you beamed me aboard. You will submit to a tracking beacon. Sure. As long as it's not one of those models that gives you migraines. Had one of those before. Not fun. You will cooperate fully with the investigation into the Krillian trafficking operation. Absolutely. I've got 3 months' worth of evidence compiled. Names, dates, shipping routes, financial transactions. It's all yours. Vreldar deactivated the containment field. Mara stepped out, stretching her arms above her head in a way that made several of her joints pop audibly. Another disturbing human trait. Thank you, Captain, she said, and this time her smile seemed genuine rather than mocking. I know this wasn't easy. You are still under fleet supervision, he warned. One misstep. I'll be an angel. Scout's honor. I do not know what a scout is. It's a human thing. We'll have time for cultural exchange later. Right now, those kids need us. Together, they walked toward the medical bay. Vreldar's crew members stopped and stared as they passed, confused by the sight of their captain escorting the prisoner like an honored guest. He ignored them. There would be time for explanations later. The medical bay doors slid open. 40 pairs of large, luminous Balerian eyes turned toward them. When they saw Mara, a chorus of chirps and whistles filled the air. Several of the younglings rushed forward, wrapping their small arms around her legs. Hey, little ones, Mara said softly, kneeling down to their level. You're safe now. I promised I'd get you home, didn't I? Vreldar watched as the humans spoke gently with each child, checking on their well-being, offering comfort. Dr. Venzix approached, her expression unreadable. She is good with them, the doctor observed. She destroyed 2 ships to save them, Vreldar replied. Yes. I heard. Sounds like something a hero would do. Heroes do not break the law. Don't they? Dr. Venzix tilted her head. I seem to recall several historical figures who were considered criminals in their time but heroes in retrospect. Perhaps the law is not always right, Captain. Perhaps sometimes it needs people brave enough to show us where it fails. Before Vreldar could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. His command tablet lit up with urgent messages. Lieutenant Kixa's face appeared, all 4 eyes wide with alarm. Captain, we have incoming vessels. Multiple signatures. They're Krillian military frigates, sir. 6 of them. And they're powering weapons. Mara looked up from the children, her expression shifting from gentle to calculating in an instant. Well, she said, standing slowly. This just got interesting. The bridge erupted into controlled chaos as Vreldar strode through the doors, Mara following close behind despite the protests of the security officer trailing them. Report. Vreldar barked, settling into his command chair. Lieutenant Kix manipulated the holographic display with practiced efficiency. 6 Krillian military frigates, closing fast. They're broadcasting on all channels, demanding we release their convoy personnel and return the confiscated cargo. By confiscated cargo, they mean the children, Mara said quietly, positioning herself near the tactical station. Several crew members shot her uncertain glances. Why is the prisoner on my bridge? Demanded Tactical Officer Grixvel, his scales bristling. Because the prisoner has more combat experience than half this crew combined, Mara replied before Vreldar could speak. And because those frigates aren't here to negotiate. Captain, what's your shield strength? You do not give orders here, human. Shields at 73%, Lieutenant Kix supplied nervously. We were running diagnostics when. Cancel the diagnostics. Route emergency power to forward shields and weapons. Mara leaned over the tactical display, her fingers dancing across the controls as if she had served on this bridge for years. They're using a standard Krillian attack formation. See that? 3 ships form the spearhead, 2 provide flanking support, 1 stays back for artillery. Textbook stuff. Vreldar opened his mouth to reprimand her, then closed it. Everything she said matched his own tactical analysis. How do you know Krillian military formations? Told you, Captain. I do my homework. Mara glanced at him, and there was something sharp behind her eyes now, something predatory. Those aren't just military ships. Check the transponder codes. Those are Black Fleet vessels. The bridge went silent. Even Vreldar felt his blood chill. The Krillian Black Fleet was officially a myth, a rumor whispered about in dark corners of space stations. Unofficially, everyone knew they existed. Pirates, slavers, and mercenaries operating under the protection of corrupt Krillian officials. Impossible, Grixvel hissed. The Black Fleet is a conspiracy theory propagated by people who've actually encountered them and lived to tell about it, Mara finished. Which, congratulations, you're about to become. Those transponder codes have a secondary encryption layer. Your sensors probably can't detect it, but human ships can. We've been tracking Black Fleet movements for the past year. And you did not share this intelligence with the Galactic Enforcement Fleet? Vreldar demanded. Oh, we tried. Remember those 3 reports I filed? The ones nobody read? Yeah, 2 of them included detailed information about Black Fleet operations. Mara's smile was gone now, replaced by cold determination. Humanity might be new here, but we recognize organized crime when we see it. We've had plenty of practice dealing with it back home. The comm crackled. A voice spoke in Krillian, the translator rendering it into clipped, aggressive tones. Enforcement vessel, this is Commander Zarkthul of the Krillian Defense Initiative. You are harboring a terrorist who attacked peaceful merchants. Surrender the human immediately, along with our lawfully acquired property, or face military consequences. Mara snorted. Lawfully acquired property. That's a new way to describe kidnapped children. Vreldar activated the comm, Commander Zarkthul, this is Captain Vreldar of the Galactic Enforcement Fleet. The individuals you refer to as property are Balerian younglings who were illegally trafficked. We have evidence of. We have authorization from the Krillian High Council. Your interference constitutes an act of war against the Krillian sovereignty. You have 30 seconds to comply. The comm cut off. Vreldar stared at the display, watching the frigates continue their approach. His crew looked to him, waiting for orders. This was the moment that defined a captain's career. Make the right choice, be remembered as a hero. Make the wrong one, be remembered as the fool who started an interstellar war. Captain, Mara said softly, stepping beside his chair. I know what you're thinking. 6 frigates against 1 enforcement cruiser. Bad odds. You're worried about your crew. About the children in the medical bay. About doing the right thing versus doing the smart thing. You presume to know my thoughts. I presume to know how any decent officer thinks when faced with an impossible situation. She crouched down, meeting his eyes directly. But here's what they're not telling you. Black Fleet ships are heavily armed but poorly maintained. They cut corners on everything except weapons. Their shields are weak, their crews are undertrained, and their commanders rely on intimidation because they know they can't win a fair fight. How can you possibly know that? Because I've fought them before. Mara stood, turning to the tactical display. 3 months ago, I engaged 2 Black Fleet vessels in the Outer Rim. They had a similar setup, lots of firepower, no finesse. I took them both down with a ship half the size of this cruiser. You want to know how? 20 seconds to compliance, Lieutenant Kix announced, her voice trembling. Vreldar made a decision that would either save his career or end it. Tell me. Mara's smile returned, fierce and wild. They always expect you to run or surrender. They never expect you to attack first. Lieutenant Kix, can you target their lead ship's shield generators? Yes, but... Do it. Grixvel, prepare a full spread of quantum torpedoes. Captain, you're going to want to angle us 43 degrees starboard and drop altitude by 0.7 astronomical units. You are giving tactical orders on my bridge, Vreldar observed, but there was no anger in his voice now. Only curiosity. Yes, sir. I am. And in about 15 seconds, you're going to be really glad I did. The countdown reached 0. The Krillian ships opened fire. Now. Mara shouted. Vreldar didn't hesitate. Execute her orders. All of them. The enforcement cruiser lurched into motion. Quantum torpedoes erupted from the launch tubes, not aimed at the enemy ships but at the space between them. The torpedoes detonated, creating a massive electromagnetic pulse that scrambled the Krillian sensors. They're blind. Lieutenant Kix announced, amazement in her voice. Not for long. 30 seconds, maybe 40 if we're lucky. Mara was already moving to the helm station. Helmsman, I need you to execute a barrel roll, then full reverse thrust. A barrel roll is an atmospheric maneuver, the helmsman protested. In space, it serves no. It serves to make them think we're panicking and out of control. Trust me. Do it sloppy. Make it look desperate. The helmsman glanced at Vreldar, who nodded. The ship spun wildly, thrusters firing in seemingly random patterns. Through the viewport, Vreldar watched the Krillian formation adjust, moving to surround what they believed was a damaged, fleeing vessel. They're taking the bait, Grixvel reported, surprise evident in his tone. Of course they are, Mara said, watching the tactical display with the focus of a predator tracking prey. Arrogance is their weakness. They think they've already won. Now, helmsman, kill all thrust and rotate us 180 degrees. Fast as you can. The ship went suddenly still, then spun. The Krillian frigates, expecting pursuit, suddenly found themselves facing the enforcement cruiser's main weapons array at point-blank range. Fire everything, Mara said calmly. Shields first, then engines. No kill shots. We want them disabled, not destroyed. Vreldar gave the order. The bridge lit up with the glow of weapons fire. The lead Krillian frigate's shields collapsed under the barrage. Its engines erupted in cascading failures. The second and third ships tried to peel away, but they had committed too hard to their attack run. More torpedoes found their marks, more engines went dark. 3 down, Lieutenant Kix called out. The remaining ships are breaking formation. Because they finally realize they're fighting someone who knows what she's doing, Mara said. Hail them, Captain. I think they'll be more reasonable now. Vreldar activated the Krillian vessels, power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Your operation has been compromised. Surrender peacefully, and no further harm will come to you. There was a long pause. Then Commander Zarkthol's voice returned, significantly less confident than before. You have made a grave error, Enforcement Fleet. The High Council will hear of this. I sincerely hope they do, Vreldar replied. Along with the Galactic Senate, the Balerian Ambassador, and every news service from here to the core worlds. I look forward to explaining how the Krillian military deployed 6 warships to protect child traffickers. I imagine that will be a fascinating hearing. Another pause. Longer this time. We are powering down weapons, Zarkthol said finally, his voice tight with barely controlled rage. Cheers erupted across the bridge. Crew members embraced. Even Grixvel managed what might have been a smile, though on his species it looked more like a grimace. Vreldar stood, turning to face Mara. That was insane, she offered. Reckless. Completely against protocol. Brilliant, he finished. That was brilliant. And I should place you under arrest for commandeering my bridge. Probably, Mara agreed. But you won't. Because I just saved your ship, your crew, and 40 kidnapped children. And because deep down, you know that sometimes the right thing to do is also the crazy thing to do. Humans, Vreldar said, shaking his head in amazement. You are all completely insane. We prefer the term, creatively problem-solving, Mara corrected. But yeah, basically. Dr. Venzix's voice came over the comm. Captain, the younglings heard the battle. They're asking if Commander Quinn is all right. Mara's expression softened. Tell them I'm fine, Doctor. Tell them they're safe now. Really safe. As the crew began coordinating the capture and processing of the Krillian vessels, Vreldar gestured for Mara to follow him to his ready room. Once inside, he poured 2 glasses of Andromedan spirits, offering one to her. To victory, he said, raising his glass. To doing the right thing, Mara countered, clinking her glass against his. Even when it's terrifying. They drank. The spirit burned pleasantly, warming Vreldar from the inside. I owe you an apology, he said after a moment. I judged you without evidence. I assumed the worst. I nearly made a catastrophic mistake. You're forgiven, Mara said simply. You were following the rules as you understood them. That's not a bad instinct, Captain. It's what keeps society from falling apart. You just need to remember that rules are tools, not masters. When the tool doesn't fit the job, you get a different tool. Or you get a human to improvise something terrifying and effective. That too. Vreldar refilled their glasses. What will you do now? Your ship is destroyed. Your mission is complete. Is it? Mara tilted her head. We shut down one trafficking ring, but there are more out there. More kids who need help. More corrupt officials who think they're untouchable. She paused, studying him carefully. The enforcement fleet could use someone who knows how these operations work. Someone who isn't afraid to color outside the lines when necessary. Are you suggesting I recruit you? I'm suggesting that humanity wants to be part of the galactic community. Really part of it. Not just observers or junior partners. We want to help. We're good at helping, even if our methods are sometimes unconventional. Vreldar considered this. His superiors would be furious. The paperwork alone would be astronomical. But when he thought about those children in the medical bay, about the Black Fleet ships now in custody, about the evidence that would expose corruption at the highest levels of Krillian government, he knew what his answer would be. The fleet has regulations about hiring former prisoners. Good thing I was never actually convicted of anything. And about humans serving on non-human vessels. Even better thing that those regulations were updated 6 months ago to encourage interspecies cooperation. See, I really do read the documentation. Vreldar's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. You had this plan from the beginning. Not planned, Mara corrected. Hoped. There's a difference. I hoped I'd find someone in the enforcement fleet who cared more about justice than procedure. Someone who could be convinced that humanity has something valuable to offer. Looks like I was right. Humanity has something to offer, Vreldar agreed. Chaos, mostly. But effective chaos. We prefer to call it dynamic tactical flexibility. Of course you do. They finished their drinks in comfortable silence. Outside the viewport, stars glittered like diamonds scattered across black velvet. Somewhere out there, more children needed rescue. More criminals needed stopping. More impossible situations needed someone crazy enough to face them head-on. Welcome to the Galactic Enforcement Fleet, Commander Quinn, Vreldar said formally, extending his primary hand. Mara gripped it firmly, her smile bright enough to rival the stars themselves. Happy to be here, Captain. This is going to be fun. Fun is not typically a word associated with law enforcement. Then you've been doing it wrong. She released his hand and headed for the door. Come on, we've got prisoners to process, kids to reunite with their families, and about 17 different governments to upset. Just another Tuesday for humanity. Vreldar followed her out, wondering what he had just agreed to. But as he watched Mara stride confidently onto the bridge, greeting the crew with easy camaraderie, he realized something important. Maybe the galaxy needed a little human chaos. Maybe it needed people who smiled in the face of impossible odds. Maybe it needed someone to remind them all that laws and procedures were meaningless without compassion and courage. The stars had answered the question he had asked in that cell block. Why was she smiling? Because she knew, even when no one else did, that sometimes one person willing to do the right thing could change everything. And that, Vreldar decided, was worth all the paperwork in the universe.